Is it a disease or is it a choice? I'm going to end this debate very quickly because as long as we continue to be divided over this topic, we're actually not focusing on the solutions to the problems. We're only focusing on the problem. And I would like to stop focusing on the problem and actually come together because we're so divided over this topic that it splits us and that splits our focus. And so I want to end this debate. Is it a disease or is it a choice? And the answer is it's both. I think, like, for me being a recovering addict, I look at my decisions. I've really spent a lot of time healing and growing and thinking about mental health. And mental health as it relates to, in general, everyone, right? Like, we all have our mental health that we have to take care of. And my mental health is no different really than anybody else's. I do feel like I have to be extra diligent in making sure that my mental health stays intact, where it's healthy, it's being of service to me, it's being productive, just like, physical health. We go work out, we exercise, mental health, very much the same thing. When I was in active addiction, we'll say things like, oh, they can't help it, they have a disease. They may have some mental health challenges, but the choices are theirs to own. And let me say that when I was even in the midst of my addiction, I was making choices. When I lied, I knew I was lying. When I stole, I knew I was stealing. When I destroyed relationships, I knew I was destroying relationships. When I was manipulating people, I knew what I was doing and I was consciously making those decisions. And yes, I had mental health challenges. Here's where we can't sit around and say, oh, they can't help it. There are millions of other recovering addicts in this world that also went through this, that are doing very well, very happy, very healthy, that made a decision to wake up and start getting better, right? So how is it then that they can make a choice, that I can make a choice, but then sometimes we allow other people to stay in there, oh, they can't help it. And I know this is slightly controversial, but the reality is as long as we are allowing them to not have a choice, to feel like they can't help it, then they believe that they can't help it. And that's not helping them want to change their life and get better because they believe that they can't help it. And the reality is they can. What I needed more than anything was not to sit here and believe that I didn't have a choice. What I needed was confidence, was love, was support, so that when I was ready to make that change, when I was ready to make the decision to get better, I felt like I could do it because I felt like it was my choice to wake up and start changing my life. And then if I just took massive action and continue to take massive action, then I could get better. So what I needed was to believe that I actually had a choice. So thinking that people don't have choices is actually limiting them from believing that they can get better. So as long as we continue to be divided over whether it's a disease or a choice, then there's going to be plenty of people that are going to allow that to hold them back from being confident and believing that they deserve better. So instead of arguing over this and saying, oh, well, they just can't help it because they have this disease, what if we changed that and said, we believe in you. We believe that you can make the changes necessary in your life. We love you and we support you as long as you want to get better, but we are not going to allow certain behaviors to continue, because here's the thing is I have and had to take full responsibility over my decisions. My disease has never made me do anything. I made myself do things, and I have to be willing to hold myself responsible for the decisions that I made then and that I continue to make now. And sometimes I don't always make the right decisions, and it's really painful when I have to accept responsibility for my decisions. It would be so much better if I could sit here and say, oh, well, that's my disease and my disease made me do it. No, I did it. I made those decisions. I have to be responsible for the decisions that I make and all future decisions that I will make. And that I made in the past. I made conscious decisions, and it's more important to take responsibility for those decisions so that I can clean it up and actually not continue to make those decisions. Because if I take responsibility, then the pain may be bad enough that I want to make different decisions later. I really hope this was helpful in terms of getting us on the same page so that we can actually help and be in the solution to the problem and not continue to debate over whether it's a disease or a choice. It is both. But I have to be held accountable for my decisions, and so do the people out there. So let's fill them with support and love and not enable their poor decisions and bad behaviors by saying it's not them. It's them. It's another side of them that maybe you don't recognize, but it's them making those decisions, and they have to be held responsible for those decisions they're making. It's the only way they're going to get better. I hope this was helpful. May stir some stuff up in you, and that's okay. You may not agree with me, and that's okay. You don't have to agree with me, but it's reality. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. Leave a comment with your own thoughts. I would love to hear from you, even if you're angry over it. Let's talk about it. But have a good day.